Live.
Live. All right. Welcome to Transparency and Merit. I'm JP. I'm here with Brian. Is there any reason or is there any place for reasoning with Brian and logic?
I hope so.
I don't know
It
if
doesn't.
I think it's, is there any place for logic and reasoning?
In the 20th century, I don't think. You know what? I don't know if there is right now. It seems like there's a lot of protest, but it doesn't seem like there's much talk or discussion. And there seems there seems to be a lot of censorship. And, there's like a lot of protests, a lot of shouting, but there doesn't seem to be a conversation going on. It seems like it's a lot of, I don't want to call it virtue signaling, but a lot of speeches being made, but there's not a roundtable discussion with the other side. It's just all, it seems like it's all lectures, and the two sides aren't meeting. And Sam Harris said it better than I did. To have a just society, you're going to have a conversation. And we're not having it.
And this came out, this was just an article that I just pulled up, Thinking versus Feeling. And there's old Dennis Zink. Reasoning is one way of thinking, feeling is another. You process information, you think, both when you reason and when you feel, but it is not the same process. When you feel, your thoughts may be disorganized and may not follow a logical path. When you reason, there is a logical sequential processing of data analysis to arrive at conclusions. I think it's important because so many people are so quick to shut down a conversation. And I think it just reminds me of kind of the early days of the internet, when a lot of professors would, or it was more commonplace to find well-written articles by professors and scholars and intellects, and it wasn't uncommon to see those articles with their with comments. And there was a guy named, I think it was Reynolds was his last name. I can't remember it might have been Glenn, but I can't remember his name. And he was a very popular blogger at the beginning. I mean, this was way in the 2004, 2005 time. And he would write a lot of articles, but one thing he was very conservative, and one thing he was known for is not having comments allowed on his articles. And he was the kind of guy that he was very firm with what he was saying, and with his reasoning. His logic was sound. But if you wanted to disagree or counter his points, you basically had to find other people who were reading the same article and have it out with them. You couldn't argue with him. You kind of shut that down. So the tides have turned a lot since then, though. Now you see that a lot with most of the liberal writers. Not most, but you see that a lot more now at the other side. It's flipped.
And you know what I mean? I remember, on Twitter and stuff, you could have conversations with, a couple of times with famous people on Twitter, but it's become so toxic, and the toxic people have taken it over so much that is not possible. At least, and also because of the cancel culture, they don't want to engage because people can lose their jobs if they engage with you, and if they're too famous and they have something to lose, they're not going to engage with you, and that's kind of unfortunate because you can't gauge with people in power anymore, and you can't have important conversations about certain subjects. They're just off topic. And
plus, when somebody famous writes an article, and the whole point is they're going to say what they're going to say, whether or not it's exactly their own point of view. The point there is that a lot of people are going to be reading it, so you're going to want to.
And I guess a lot of people out there take what they say to be as gospel. Me, I certainly welcome criticism if it's constructive. A lot of people are just want to call me a name, and that's fine too. I really don't care. I would care if someone tried to come after me economically or try to hurt me physically. But whatever you think of my appearance, that's I don't like it if people mention my appearance or they'll call me a fathead. And I've been angry, I've been angry at the left. So I've tweeted out things that were out of anger that I probably shouldn't have and stuff, because some of their arguments I find to be just kind of childish and absurd. But like right now, you just know that on the right, there are things you cannot say that the left can say almost whatever it wants, and if you're a protected class, you can do and say things that the unprotected class cannot. You're not a protected person, basically. I'm picking my teeth right now. I probably shouldn't be doing it, but there's a piece of pork in between my teeth here, so bear with me, folks.
Yes.
But it's just a difficult. We're facing rather, I guess, difficult times, and I guess people don't necessarily want to hear what we have to say. And it's I've never witnessed anything like it that's been this bad. And I was just listening to Tucker Carlson and how much power Black Lives Matter has, and how much popularity Black Lives Matter has. And it's, you can't, and this has just happened recently where they have skyrocketed in popularity. And they have unquestioned, and it gives them, to a degree, unquestioned authority. I wonder how long that'll last, but for a long time, the media, and the alternative media, which is YouTube and Twitter and stuff, exposed Black Lives Matter for what they were, and now they're back with a vengeance, and they're not being questioned at all. And this is just in the time when the internet's seriously censored, and the mainstream media is all in the bag for Black Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter protest. But you try to talk to some of these individuals, it's almost like they're a bunch of. It feels like they're just a bunch of cult, just cult members, and you can't, anything you say, it's just considered too offensive, and it's like you're talking about their faith and their religion. And I mean, we're not going to church. These people can affect policy. If you want to defund the police, that affects policy. If you want higher taxes or lower taxes, that affects policy. And not being able to have a conversation with a lot of these individuals who participate in this, in this thing, it's unbelievable. And by the way, I found that women often will threaten to block me more than men will. I don't know if that's a female thing to, like, when they're talking politics, they cut the conversation off. But I found that more with women than I do with men. I don't know why, but it just seems that way. But and some of the stuff some of the things that these social media companies are doing are just are kind of underhanded, and I don't know if these politicians understand, because they don't have a website. I mean, and they don't have a YouTube channel, and they don't see how bad things have gotten, and I don't know if they really care about it. But you and I know what's going on. You and I see what's happening, and the government doesn't seem to care about basically what's going on, and how, like I said, the mainstream media is a lot of them seem to be activist journalists, and they want to affect policy in one way, and the internet is just is pushing the mainstream narrative, and they are censoring anyone that talks outside of the mainstream narrative. And that wasn't always the case. And like YouTube was propped up as an open platform. Now it seems to be a publisher. I mean, I guess it's both a publisher and a platform, because they can prop up. Go ahead.
Right. Yes. Who knows at this point? They can change their terms of service, their own rules anytime they want, and they're continually tinkering on how business is done over there. But I think at the end of the day, more people now are kind of favoring YouTube's decision to this blows my mind, but I keep hearing people are favoring YouTube censoring whatever they feel they should be censoring.
Where do you get this information that people believe that?
It's just in conversations I've had, and I've heard from people. I don't know if it's most of the people, but I've heard it from a lot of people, a lot more people than I expected. That they're a company, they're a corporation, and they could set their own rules, but that's not how they were initially presented. I think as a publisher, right, or a forum.
Yeah. An open forum.
Open forum.
So, and they're given legal protection, and their social media company, along with Twitter and Facebook, are affecting policy. And do you have the right to affect policy without any oversight? I mean, these are big social media companies, and the thing of it is, there used to be YouTube used to be that alternative media site where you could get an alternative opinion, and now they're primarily pushing the mainstream, and there's no counter argument to that, and you're seeing people get blacklisted left and right on social media. I don't know how big it is, but it's like, if you criticize Black Lives Matter and you do it in even the most generic way, that can cost you your job. That can cost, and that can also cost you sponsorships, because the large corporations are completely in with a lot of these social justice, civil rights groups, and they're in there without question. And like, how many people support this? And Darren's right. Darren says you can't criticize BLM in any way. They cannot be criticized. So really and truly, you can't have a conversation with that which you can't criticize. you really cannot have a conversation. And as I said before, and I'm kind of repeating myself, if you want a just and moral society, or you want a more just and more moral society, you have to have a conversation.
Phone line is open.
Yeah.
Call us at 319-668-1969.
Yeah.
And you might want to turn your mic down a little bit because I'm hearing my echo.
Oh, sorry about that. See if I can just turn things down a little bit. We do that real quick. But yeah, this is a conversation.
There we go. That sounds better.
Good enough, thank you. But yeah, so, and this has happened years before. I've had people unfriend me on Facebook. Can't argue, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's just it's unbelievable. And me too, Darren. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, you've lost a lot. And I've just, you know what? I've steered so clear on my Facebook. I just don't go on Facebook. But when I see somebody post something, it's so cringy if it's one way or another. But mostly the real far left-leaning posts just make me sick.
Yeah, and they're
or I should say the posts that really irk me the most from people who are very much Democrats or very far left, and it seems like they're, it's just the way I've seen it. But I'm not going to say it's been across the board. Posters from both sides have been bugging the hell out of me. I wonder what kind of arguments Darren's tried to get into.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there's just it's just not really, like I said. I mean, and this seems to be all over the nation,
So what happened over in Atlanta? Are you following that story?
Last I heard is they burned down a Denny's.
Wendy's.
Wendy's, yeah.
Of course, the whole building burned except for the sign up front. Oh, sorry, I know it was a Wendy's. Oh, he's had 25 friends unfriend me for not hating Orange Man. Mostly teachers and nurses. Yes, all teachers and nurses. Yeah, I know how that goes. I know how it goes.
Someone says, I look forward to the day that all Americans are pissed off and brutally honest, and what's actually going on is Tucker Carlson.
Trump has brought about, no doubt, Trump has brought about all the mechanisms for division with him.
You know what? Here's the deal, dude. These divisions were here, and regardless of Trump, me as a human being, and because I don't even bring up Trump as an issue, I just say question the narrative.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, if you go to Sam Harris, you go to his videos, and he says, "Look, I mean," and he states out the facts one by one about about police, about how what the likelihood of dying at the hands of police, how often police make arrests, and the stuff like that. And do we really want to defund the police? Maybe we do, but can we have a conversation about it? Can we have a conversation on what police go through? Is that allowed today? Are we allowed to say, police do have a difficult job? Are we allowed to say that, when a police officer draws his firearm. He's got like a split section. He's got a split second to make that decision, and when he has to arrest someone, that person isn't always compliant, and what the rules of engagement are and how difficult they are when somebody doesn't want to comply. I mean, I think it's easier than it looks, and there's a lot of second guessing out there. And, you know, human beings are entitled to due process. You know, as bad as it looks on camera, well, there are other angles. There are several reasons to maybe why things happen. And before we just jump to conclusions, can we examine facts? And how many facts?
Yeah, I'm a bit of an auto hoaxer. When I see these stories, the first thing, my default now is I've got to, you got to show me the goods if I'm watching this on the news. And yeah, the camera angles were very unhelpful. It was a very unfortunate way in how the whole event was filmed. And so I took objection with that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to jump to those conclusions, I think, for most people.
Yeah, but regardless of that, my whole opinion is this: are we allowed to? Are we allowed to? Are we allowed to speak our piece? You know, are we allowed to?
And that's the bottom line right there. Just being able to not get shut down, not get unfriended on wherever platform I happen to be talking at, or whatever it is you're saying. You faced it a lot more recently on Twitter and social media in general. I think people have shut you down, you know, for speaking your mind.
Yeah, and it's I guess I kind of feel like the establishment, as well as just a lot of people out there, I guess they don't want to have a conversation. I guess they don't want to have this a talk. You know, and maybe they don't. And it's like, that's kind of sad, and that's certainly not the country that I want to live in. It's not the place that I want to live in. I want to live in a place where there's free, open dialogue and a free exchange of ideas. I guess that can't happen with a lot of people. And
Hold on. Yes, Steve, I'm gonna have to call you back.
Okay. I send you the invoice as well as the receipt.
Thank you so much. I'll get back to you. I just like hearing his voice.
yeah, I know. Yeah, he does have a good voice, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, he's a Bollywood star. Okay, so where were we on that?
well, it's like I guess a lot of people, and maybe the majority, just want to follow along, and they want to follow along with this kind of religion and faith, and you know, they just don't want to dialogue. And I mean, things like this have been done before, and they've been done in the past. And I guess the people who did it in the past, they felt righteous about doing what they were doing. And the people who are doing it now, they feel very righteous and right about the way they're behaving, about the way they're acting. But, you know, really, what can you do? I mean, I guess to a point, I mean, I certainly don't want to, you know, like, because I guess there's going to be a protest tomorrow at a few places. And I think a protest was called off yesterday.
Right.
I mean, today, actually, because there were counter protesters. and they were saying they could get violent. You know, the truth is, the people that are counter protesting, who are even the Trump supporters, they don't follow violence the same way the anti-Trump protesters do. Regardless of how you feel about our president, that's not what's happening. And I don't know if they really believe that, or if they really just do that as cover due to the fact that they don't want to engage, you know? And I love the meme, you've never been judged by the color of your skin. Answer, I just was. That, you know, that actually is a cartoon. Never been judged by the color of your skin, just was.
Yeah, I've seen that meme spread around
And
pretty good.
It's just true. I almost want to get that meme, that cartoon, and just plaster it places because it's so meaningful. It's like, this is, you know, Joe, this is about the most undiplomatic time I've ever, like, as far as the national and the world stage conversation that I've ever been in. And this is just not only in America, but it's throughout. I'm thinking even throughout Europe. Nobody wants to have a conversation. They just want people to sit back and listen, and they don't want to hear any contrary points. And it does bother me, but it's like, what can you do? You know, what can you do when the other side has a lot of power and they don't want to you know, and they don't want to listen to you. And I guess to a large extent, maybe they don't. I'm thinking there might be a silent majority, but I don't know. And maybe they like it that way. You know, I almost feel like the whole world, or a large part of the world, is having the wool pulled over its eyes. And I don't know if they really care or not. It's like the biggest deception I've ever seen in my life. Because I'm weary of anytime you can't criticize something openly, I kind of become weary of it. You know, most things that I can't criticize openly, I kind of become, you know, it's like, I don't know if I believe in that anymore, because you're not allowing that other person to speak. You must be afraid of what they have to say. And our nation is built, you know, the First Amendment is the First Amendment. And is it so offensive? What are they afraid of?
Increasing in my own interpretation of what Marx was up to across the 3 volumes of Calvin. It's an idea that Marx first announces in the famous 1843 letter to Rubin. Quote, if constructing the future and settling everything for all times are not our affair, it is all the more clear what we have to accomplish at present.
I just turned off my cam. I just, you know.
You know, I'm kind of like looking into some videos, and I'm all over trying to check things out. But
I've tweeted to you quite a bit.
I'd really like. Oh, okay. I was trying to find. I knew you had sent something. I couldn't remember where. Let me check that out, because we should be getting phone calls. I mean, that's the bottom line. 310-668-1969. Tell Mr. Brian here how you feel.
Absolutely. Get out there and just say how you feel and what the whole issue is, you know?
Here's a video you sent. I don't know if this is it's a World Star Hip Hop link.
Yeah, I was filming that, but there are a couple other videos out there. I mean, like, if you scroll down, there may be a couple more that I've tweeted to you. But it was that one, and then And it goes lengthy, but it
Right.
does show revenge, and it shows justice and all the right, you know. And it kind of made me feel good that, you know, there are noble people out there that aren't just about violence. No, I can't.
Okay.
See what, you're not sharing your Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, I will. Let's put that in here. Can you see it now?
Yep. So all lives matter. Now you look at that video.
Hold on a second here.
You know what I mean? There's another thing that shows.
Oh,
That was pretty good. That was pretty cool, Joe.
oh,
I would-
whoa! All right, I don't know what that was about though.
Yeah, if you want to scroll down, let me see if we can scroll down and see what's going down. If we can scroll, let's see. Tough guys beat up. If we can get out of that tweet and just take a look and see what else I've tweeted to you. Tweets and replies.
Oh wait, hold on. Let's.
Get your Twitter.
Yeah, I'll have to go over here to the bell. Let's see if we got any other notifications here.
I think I may be shadow banned again, by the way. And you know what? Hey, I wanted to this is what Stefan Molyneux says. What abusers say, all my aggression is your fault. You must change your behavior so I am less violent. If you put responsibility on me, I will escalate my abuse. I don't need to change, only you do.
What was that all about? Oh,
Look like they were
low?
hunting down a veteran.
Oh wow. Yeah, so there's definitely some violence going on right now. Darren says every single night for the last 20 years, somewhere in the USA, there's a cop shooting someone.
Did someone call
Oh,
us?
dude. 328 million people in cameras can ignite any agenda they want. We do have a call. Hello there. You are on with Brian and Joe. What's going on?
You two are just a bunch of racists.
Tell me about it.
Hi, go. It's Darren.
Hey, what's going on, Darren?
I thought I recognized that number. Okay. What's going on?
Not much. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
How do I sound on this phone?
Sounds good. I mean, I can tell you're on the
Okay.
phone, but it sounds good.
I can't hear Brian.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now. There we are.
So what's going on in the wonderful city of Portland?
I didn't know Portland would be at the Washington and Portland have been like, just seems like they're in every story coming down the pike. What's going on there now?
I want to go to Chop. It's called Chop now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Chaz.
Chop and Chaz.
Called Chad or Chad, you know, however.
It's disintegrating. The rule of law up there is disintegrating. Nobody can take charge. They're all fighting. some people walked in with a couple flags and they got attacked, and then they started fighting with each other about whether they should attack them or not, kick them out back beyond the border. They're having all the problems at a miniature scale that you had, with any city.
So
really,
it's a
they
true.
have to have a border. They need little taxes. They need some free food.
They need
They have a
handouts.
garden growing.
Yeah, they
The
need
homeless stole,
they need a titty to suck on.
the homeless stole all their food. They're bothering all the people. There's only a few people that are actually live in the area. I guess there's some fake stories out there, but I don't know. I haven't been up there to check it out.
The people that live there, are they intense?
No, I guess there's a couple
Oh,
houses or apartments or something,
okay.
but that's been disputed. So I have no idea if there's actually residents in that area or not. I haven't figured it out yet because there's so much. You can't figure out what's going on up there unless you actually went up there. That's one thing I learned about being in Portland, is they made it look like the whole damn city was just being destroyed at once, and it wasn't like that. I was right in the middle of it, It does get destroyed eventually, though, if you just let them go do it every night for 3 weeks. And that's what's happened. They just find the next window to break. Now they're all broken.
Wow. How about at your were you at your place of work? You mentioned that you had some windows busted, right?
They're all broken.
What? Like the street front? Like all the windows in the front are broken?
Yeah. Yeah. The 4th Street windows, every one of them is broken. And
So they have them all boarded up, or they just open?
yeah, they
Wow.
now put boards over everything.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's so stupid. You 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and we're all ready to go back to work in 2 weeks, and our numbers are down to 80 or 60 in all of Oregon. We're ready to go back to work, and they dragged us out 3 months, and we have empty downtown, and now we have people that are bored and want to steal stuff, so they go downtown. There's nothing to stop them. The whole thing's so stupid. We have more numbers now than we did in March. We're right where we were. The whole thing was worthless.
Are you talking about the virus?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I blame the virus for how easy it is for these protesters to just destroy the downtown. Nobody's down there. It's a ghost town. Nobody works there. Nobody has pride in anything down there. They're all fat and lazy and getting paid to stay at home and getting paid a lot. And now they're going to postpone that till December, I guess, till the end of the year, so people get $600 a week. I have a guy that was working like three hours a month with me as a valet, Sunday morning, maybe once a month. And he makes more than I do, and I'm working full time. He makes about what I do. It's like ridiculous. Brian, are you at least getting your $600 bonus?
No, he hasn't followed up on his EDD. But yeah, that's something that he should be doing, and yeah, that's pretty.
$2,400 a month.
Oh yeah,
And that's a lot of money. It is for me.
Yep.
I'm not getting it. I never got a single dollar. I started working
I haven't
somewhere
either.
else.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've been working the whole time, but it's interesting to see where this is going to be going. I don't know how they're going to maintain that. So you said that the unemployment was extended through December?
Well, they're talking about it.
Oh. Yeah, I
They're
haven't heard anything
debating
about
it in Congress. Just, what are they going to do? Have everybody come back right before the election here, or at the end of July, and you won't have any people going to all those places? I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, the timeline works out now. I think a lot more people are going to start coming back to work right at the beginning of fall, and I just I don't have high hopes for where it's going with the for the fall because of the elections and
what they found out is that just in the last couple of days, and I think it's why the stock market's going up. Like the supercut lady that had the COVID and gave it to the other person at her job. She had 140 people come through, and they all wore masks, and so did she, and not one of them got it. So I think they were talking about that on the news and a couple different news stories. So I think that's the key, bringing it back down. Either that or just let it go up until like December 11th or something, and then just tell everybody to be off for 3 weeks until the new year, and then it'll be back down. We could do it again. I mean, what's so hard about taking 3 weeks off? Like, Jesus, 3 months? It's ridiculous. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you're right on that. I mean, it was something that was done. It was almost you couldn't question the pandemic, and you couldn't question the and you can't question Black Lives Matter.
Well, you had to rely on a strategy that has no cohesion and nothing. No two people are telling us the same thing. They say wear the mask, and then they're not wearing the mask.
It's all political. It's all political. It seems.
Oh, it's 100% political, and from what I see, it shouldn't be. But even these so-called shootings, they are all 100% political.
You can feel it turn. It felt like Hands Up, Don't Shoot all over again. They're just going to find a story a night, to enrage everybody. That's what the press is doing. We have 328 million people in this country. You can find a news story about anything to enrage people every single night.
Yeah, it's a good
It's
point.
no different than it was 6 months ago. I guarantee you there were still people being killed 6 months ago. They just weren't talking about it on the news. So, not as blatant as the murder there in Minneapolis, so that was pretty bad. But
well, look, man. I mean, my thing is this. You know what? We have to be honest. We have to have, and we have to have some, like I said, adult conversations. If you want a just society, you can't just shout slogans at people and just say, make demands. That's not the way, that's not a way a civilized society works, man. There are times when, you want talking about defunding the police or even retraining the police. It's a conversation. It's not it's not just shouting.
But what do you think about the thought that they are not going to stop poking the bear? These stories are going to keep propping up. One's going to end, and then there's something big is going to happen. And why are they doing this? I guess is the question. Why is this happening now?
Well, they're already starting to kind of go the other way. You can see it on the television shows and how they're talking. That they don't want a full race war or anything. I don't think. They just want to win the election. That's why the CNN and that's why they're running all this shit. That's what I think. But I don't know.
It's nonstop. If none of it was televised, nobody would give a crap. These things would happen. Maybe events would happen, but they wouldn't spread like that.
People are all off, and all they're doing is they're oversaturated with, their social media and with media. And I don't know about you, but when I read some of these stories, they do feel like Russian bot stories. Like what to inflame people's anger about, and then just it seems like so many of them are just. I don't even know these news agencies either. I don't know where they come from. I don't know.
Yeah,
you would know more about.
And every time there's something very minor that changes, so it's a little bit different from the last one, or a little bit different from the one we saw last year, or you know what I mean. There's always a lot of these stories we've seen before. They're just being almost like rehashed in a different kind of way, almost every time.
Sometimes I'm like, why is this even a story? It's something so small, but it's like made to just make people just get super angry over something, and it's just like, well, who's trying to get everybody to fight? Why? What do they want? it seems like they want a full, left, right, rich, poor, black, white fight going on all the time. They probably want people to not pay attention to what's going on somewhere else. Who knows? I tell you what, Trump as president has had fewer wars than any president since Carter. So I'm happy about that. And people don't like talking about it. He just brought all our troops home from Germany. And now all of a sudden all the generals are turning on him. It's like, what's going on here? What's really going on,
Yeah, what is going on here? What the hell is going on, Brian?
But I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And like I said,
Come on, we look to you for answers. Come on.
right now, I have no answers. You know what? I mean, and I don't even know if we have any. Like right now, the trade-offs are: if you speak up and you fight, you're meeting a surmountable opponent, because BLM has the establishment behind them, and they've got a lot of really strong followers that are like really strong, almost fanatical like followers that will yeah, I mean they will go in on you like a kamikaze attack. I mean, they will shut your job down. They will, and in some ways, will threaten you physically. So, and they believe what they're doing is correct. There's groups like the John Brown Gun Club who believe that blacks and minorities are under the threat of slavery, so they must resist. And they believe that white racism must be resisted at all costs, and it's kind of fanatical. It's like, so anything that's even moderate, like just to say we should talk this out, have allowing freedom of speech, that's considered almost tantamount to Jim Crow racism or some form of oppression. So that's got to be stamped out. And go ahead.
If you say Black Lives Matter is racist, you're racist. If you say all lives matter, you're racist too. You can't not like anything.
Yeah, no, you're right on that. I mean, and you have to, at this point in time in history, you really do have to toe a line, and you cannot, the time for rebellion. I mean, I guess, and I don't know how you rebel against something that is so powerful and so vindictive, and but it's almost like you're walking on eggshells, and it's like, and it's almost like being in a relationship with an abusive husband. It's kind of like I was going to read something that Stefan Molyneux said. This is what abusers say, and I think I might have said this before. What abusers say: all my aggression is your fault. You must change your behavior so I'm less violent. If you put responsibility on me, I will escalate my abuse. I don't need to change. Only you do. Always way to minority activists. And that's just true.
You can always find something to fight with someone about if you want to.
I've been posting this quite a bit, but and then I'm in. Someone mentioned me in a comment here. Someone said, "F them both."
To Chaz, did you hear about that?
No. Like a Hell's Angels type of thing?
Like Trump supporters from across the nation are all going to ride into Chaz together.
Oh, shit.
Could you imagine like 20,000 motorcycles going right on into Chaz. I wonder what happened. I've been nothing.
I don't know about nothing, man. That could turn into something.
That'll be the spark that ignites the race war.
There you go.
I think I've been kicked out of my Stoic group.
Uh-oh. I wonder if we're going to lose our jobs over just doing the show tonight, like in 3 years from now, or maybe 5 years from now.
You never know. I can't believe. You know what? I mean, it's hard to believe that people are that
Yeah, will this factor into our,
Critical.
will it factor into our social rankings?
Yeah.
Well,
How long before they ban Blazing Saddles?
How long before they ban free thought? I mean, how long do they say the First Amendment no longer applies to to people who think differently?
I guess it all depends on who's in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that does, I guess, matter to who's in charge, but I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't think there's like a major corporate job right now that I would be able to get because they'd probably be able to find all my
Probably not.
background.
They do our background check.
Yeah, do enough checking. There's no way. And I wouldn't back down from any of my comments, but that's just the way it is. That's where we're at.
Somebody sent me this video of all the crisis actors. Are you into the crisis actors on the Ferguson or on the Minneapolis shooter?
You know, I haven't looked into it, but I am not surprised if that's a thing for sure. I know there's people looking at it.
This is him, and this is him here, and this is him in there.
Yep.
It does look like him. I don't think it is him, but I think it does. I suppose when you have a lot of people, you can always try to find two people that look similar. They had the same thing with the shuttle crew. They had a whole bunch of people that they thought were astronauts and people with the shuttle, shuttle explosion.
Yeah, suddenly they had twins. There's a couple of them.
They did look, especially the Asian guy looked very similar, but there were differences if you looked really carefully.
Yeah, I don't know. They're a lot older. Yeah, they're also 20, 30 years older. And your ears drop.
Yeah, but the one guy's ears were like way smaller. Like the lobes weren't even there. And the other, but yeah, they look similar. I can see how people could fall for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's a thing. I see a lot of people talking about that. I've seen people who have done a lot of research, and there's something to it. There's something to it. Not just on their looks, but the results from going to try to meet with them, and there's all kinds of weird stories behind it. Anyways, Brian, what else do you got, man?
You know what? I think we've said everything we need to say, and it was a good show.
Darren, thank you for calling, man. That was a great call.
Hopefully, things will be safe. I mean, things seem to be safer in Portland since I think all the Antifa are out of that are in Portland are probably not. You're right. I mean, there's probably
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think we haven't heard anything from there yet. I think it's going to get loud very soon.
Well, we did have a few days where they didn't riot, but last night they went down there and threw stuff at the police, and it got pretty bad.
Wow.
But yeah, I do want to go up to Chop or Chaz or whatever. I'd like to walk in there and see what
if I can get Brian some like this. You remember when that astronaut lost her brains and drove a long distance to that
was the craziest freaking story
and
ever.
She like had like bags that she would pee into and so. You know what? If I can get one of those devices for Brian so he could just pee as we drive, I'm going to drive him to Portland and pick you up and we're gonna go down and
Nice.
make some videos.
Are we going to wear masks, or are we just going to say the hell with the COVID?
You are your own man. Do what you gotta do.
All right, I need to go to bed.
Right on. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for calling in, Darren. Thank you. So yeah, Joe, I think that'll end it for the show. I mean, like I said, it's just a kind of a sad time right now in this country. Hopefully, we can have a conversation with people, and then again, Joe, maybe we can. Maybe freedom of speech. This is just the beginning, and freedom of speech and freedom of thought. I mean, you can have your thoughts, but you better keep them to yourself, because if you say the wrong thing, you can be punished and punished for the rest of your life. So, if this is what people want, I mean,
By the way, also it brings up a good point. I would, for everybody out there, I'd be very careful about what you say nowadays online.
Yeah.
Because all of this is being recorded in one way or another, and just no matter where you go on the internet, there's a record of it, and the whole social ranking system is coming from China. It's already there. It's probably here already to some extent, and who knows what they'll use it against you for? Who knows? So mean what you say and say what you mean would be my first advice.
Yeah, and also, like I said, I'm hoping that we get, and I wonder if there will be a point where there's an act of contrition for when people misbehave and say things out of anger, because we've all done that in the past, and social media is no different. When somebody angers you, you want to and hurt your, like, even if they say something online that you feel is offensive, you want to return the favor and give them.
Well, Brian, what I would suggest is that there's going to be, like any social network now has, what do you call that? Equations or whatever, and it's probably maybe very difficult, but it would just be like a meta-analysis of all the things you've done and said, and I don't think you come off as being someone who's any more or less angry than the next guy. You just have an opportunity to express it here on our podcast, and which is great. I don't think that's something to worry about per se. Put you, I don't know. I would imagine if there was something like this, you would have to measure everything that you talk about, everything that you do. That's going to be a hard thing. I hope it doesn't come to that. I don't think we need that. I think people can judge people, like we've always done.
You know what, Joe? I'm hoping, and the internet could be something that brings us together, but right now, with the censorship, it's actually tearing us more apart, and we're not having conversations. We're one side is shouting and screaming, and the other side is just like, just going along with it, because they see like what happens if somebody speaks up and somebody speaks out, and the kinds of vindictive and nasty behavior. I don't know how long, I don't know how long this can happen. I mean, because people aren't going to tolerate getting smashed around or getting bullied and not respond to it. By nature, people are festering and they're angry, and anger stems from being treated unfairly. That's where anger comes from. And this is something that, is trying to right a wrong and trying to right an injustice, but seems very unfair, and it seems very authoritarian. And people are, I can't imagine that people are not upset and angry about it. And they're
Brian, I used to run anger management groups, mandated and unmandated.
Yes.
And I walked away from a lot of that kind of clinical work nowadays, but one of the things I want to do is really boost my coaching business and work with people on how to use anger and ego to their advantage, because it can be the most useful of emotions. And if people are able to harness, how fear drives them, and how fear makes them do stupid things, or you know what I mean. It could debilitize somebody's motivation, or it could actually accent their drive. So that's something that I want to work on in the future, and maybe build that up a little bit. But maybe it could be tied in with our transparency and merit. Who knows? I think it can. Brian, anything else, or are we on our way out the door?
I think we're on our way out the door, Joe. And like I said before, I'm hoping we can get into a time where we can sit down and talk to each other. But right now, the other side seems to have emotions. Those who are in BLM and those who support BLM seem to have emotions are very high with them, and they don't seem very diplomatic, and they don't seem are ready to have a conversation. So, one of the things I want to see with transparency and merit is have it be an alternative to a lot of these social media sites. And I'm hoping we can get to that where people can post videos and have streamlining things come to us and have these conversations, because these conversations are kind of censored online, and we certainly can't have them. And like I said, to have a just society, you need to have a conversation.
And if people are telling you that some censorship is okay, tell them to get to hell. Get out of here.
Yeah. Well, they're not telling me. I mean, they're just shutting down. I mean, they're telling it to me because they're not having the conversation. And
right. We have boundaries and there are rules, but there should not be censorship.
Absolutely not.
Subscribe to the show, and make sure you leave a comment if you agree, disagree, or suffer from apathy. I don't care. We need your comments, but we also need your phone calls. Thank you, Galen, for calling in. Mr. White's here. Andy Bowen in the his eye. And I think we're done.
We're done.